Good morning. This is Dr. M. Shamala Associate Professor EEE, Erode Sengundar Engineering College. In this video, we are going to see about wind energy. Actually, wind energy is an indirect form of solar energy which can be available continuously, unlike solar energy. The solar radiation differentially absorbed by Earth's surface converted through convective process due to temperature difference to air motion. The wind flow pattern are modified by Earth terrain, bodies of water and vegetative cover. There are two types of wind energy. One is planetary winds, another one is local winds. The planetary winds are caused due to greater heating of Earth's surface near the equator compared to solar heating near south and north poles. The local winds are caused due to differential heating of land and water in coastal areas. Example, during daytime, the land is heated more than the water surface. During nighttime, it is reversible. These types of winds are caused due to uneven heating in hills and mountains along the slope. The characteristics of wind energy, wind power do not pollute the atmosphere. Fuel provision and transport are not required in wind power system. Wind energy is a renewable source of energy. Wind energy, when produced on small scale, is cheap, but it is competitive with conventional power generation system when produced on large scale. These are the characteristics of wind energy. So according to the site selection of wind power plant, first one is it should high annual average wind speed and availability of anemometry data, availability of wind curve at proposed site, wind structure at the proposed site, altitude of proposed site, and territory and its aerodynamic, local ecology, distance to road and railways, nearness of site to local center or users, nature of ground, favorable land cost. By considering these 11 parameters, we have to select the site for wind power plant erection. So the advantages of wind power, the wind is free and with modern technology, it can be captured efficiently. Once the wind turbine is built, the energy it produces does not cause greenhouse gases and other pollutants. Third point, although wind turbine can be very tall, each takes up only a small plot of land. This means that the land below can still be used. This is especially the case in agricultural areas as farming can still continue. Fourth advantage is many people find wind farms an interesting feature of landscape. Fifth advantage is that the remote areas that are not connected to the electrical power grid can use wind turbines to produce their own supply. The wind turbines have a role to play in both the developed and third world. The wind turbines are available in the range of sizes, which means a vast range of peoples and businesses can use them. A single household to small towns and villages can make good use of range of wind turbines available today. But the drawbacks are the strength of the wind is not constant and it varies from zero to strong force. This means that wind turbines do not produce the same amount of electricity at all times. There will be times when they produce no electricity at all. Second drawback is that many people feel that the countryside should be left untouched without these large structures being built. The landscape should left in its natural form for everyone to enjoy. Third drawback is wind turbines are noisy. Each one can generate the same level of noise as a family car traveling at 70 miles per hour. The fourth problem is many people see large wind turbines as unsightly structures and not pleasant or interesting to look at. they disfigure the countryside and are generally ugly. Fifth drawback is when wind turbines are being manufactured, some pollution when it is produced. Therefore, wind power does pollute some pollutions. Large wind farms are needed to provide entire communities with enough electricity. For example, the largest single turbine available today can only provide enough electricity for 475 homes when running at full capacity. Then how many would be needed for a town of 1 lakh people? It's a major drawback. So next we will see wind energy conversion system. The principle of wind energy conversion system is lift force and drag force. From this diagram, the lift force and drag force are clearly shown. The lift force are perpendicular to the direction of motion and the drag force are parallel to the direction of motion. This is the diagram of a lift and drag forces. This is an airfoil which is a cross section of a blades. This is a side of low pressure side of airfoil. This is high pressure side of airfoil. So the wind energy can be extracted from lift force alone or drag force alone or both lift and drag forces. Lift forces acts perpendicular to the airflow direction and drag forces acts parallel to the airflow direction. So in aerodynamics of wind turbine, the wind turbines, the aerodynamics deals with the relative motion between moving air and stationary airfoil. The aerofoil is a cross section of blades of wind turbine. This is what shown in this diagram. The airfoil is a cross section of wind blades. It is a shape designed to create maximum lift force when air flows over it. In the wind turbine, linear kinetic energy associated with the wind is converted into rotational motion. So the aerodynamics is the pressure difference between top and bottom surface of an airfoil results a force. This is called aerodynamics. So in this diagram, the turbine blades, the cross section of a turbine blades are shown. So the upper direction is on low pressure side and the downward direction is on high pressure side. The pressure difference between top and bottom surface of an airfoil results a force, which is called aerodynamics. So next we will see the classification of wind turbine. So based on force exerted on the blades, the wind turbines are classified into two. One is a lift type, another one is a drag type. Based on the axis of rotation of a rotor, this wind turbines are classified into two types. One is horizontal axis and vertical axis. So first we will see the lift type wind turbine. It is a high speed turbine, depends on lift forces to move the blades of the wind turbine. The linear speed of the blades is usually several times higher than the wind speed. The torque of the lift force is low as compared to drag force. Second, we'll see the drag type turbine. The low speed turbines slower than the wind. This is mainly driven by drag force. Here the torque at the rotor shaft is relatively high. Next, third classification, it is a horizontal axis wind turbine. In horizontal axis wind turbine, the axis of rotation is horizontal with respect to ground. The rotation shaft is parallel to the ground and blades are perpendicular to the ground. The horizontal axis turbine is also called propeller type turbine. So these are the horizontal axis wind turbine diagrams with the various number of blades. First one is a 2 blade, second one is a 3 blades, and third one is a 4 blade horizontal axis wind turbine. So these are all some examples of horizontal axis wind turbines. First one is a multi-bladed wind turbine. Second one is a 3-bladed, and this is 4th blade. So generally, wind turbine configuration. So see, this is in the first diagram. It shows that the workers are sitting on the top of the wind turbine. So normally the blade length is nearly 112 inches length, and the nozzle where the workers are sitting is of weight 56 ton, and the tower it is of 3 sections. It is not a single height. It is made by 3 different sections, and these 3 sections are combined together and for forming the tower. So this is a structure of horizontal axis wind turbine. So this is rotor blade, and then this is rotor diameter. The hub height is measured between the central hub to the ground, and in the nozzle we have gearbox, generator. This is a long tower. So inside the components of horizontal axis wind turbines, so first one is a pitch. This is at the end of the blades where it is connected with the hub. So we have braking mechanism for safety purpose. We have yaw drive. We have yaw motors and tower and blades. There are two types of shafts is there. One is high speed shaft, another one is low speed shaft. We have a gearbox for increasing the speed of the entire setup. We have a generator for converting wind energy into electrical energy. We have a controller, and we have an anemometer wind van. We will see in detail. First one is a rotor. So this is a rotor. The portion of a wind turbine that collects energy from the wind is called rotor. The rotor usually consists of 2 or more wooden, fiberglass, metal blades, which rotate about axis. It may be or horizontal or vertical at a rate determined by wind speed and shape of the blade. So based on the shape of the blade, the rotation may vary. The blades are attached to the hub within, which in turn is attached with the main shaft. Another one is a shaft. Already we have seen that there are two types of shaft. One is a low speed shaft, another one is a high speed shaft. So two different shafts turn the generator. One is used for low speeds while another one is used for high speeds. This is a diagram of a shaft. Next one is a gearbox. Gears connect high and low speed shafts and increase the rotational speeds from about 10 to 60 rotations per minute to about 1200 to 1800 rpm. The rotational speed required by most of the generators to produce a power. Next is a generator. Generator is what convert the turning motion of a wind turbine blades into electricity. Inside this component, we have coils of wire which are rotated in a magnetic field to produce electricity. Different generator designs to produce either alternating current or direct current, and they are available in large range of output ratings. The generator's rating or size is dependent on length of the wind turbine blades because more energy is captured by longer blades. Next is a controller. It turns a blade on at 8 to 16 miles per hour and shuts them down around 65 to prevent any high wind damage. The tower, it is a tall tubular metal shaft. The taller the tower, the more power is produced. Because the taller the tower, in very high heights, the wind energy is so high, so that the power production may be increased. Next, other different controls. So generated torque control is there, yaw control is there, and braking mechanism is there. In that braking mechanism, we have further two types. One is electric braking, another one is a mechanical braking. So in generated torque control, modern large wind turbines are variable speed machines. When the wind speed is below rated, generated torque is used to control the rotor speed in order to capture as much power as possible. The most power is captured when the tip speed ratio is held constant, and it is optimum value is typically 6 to 7. This means that as wind speed increases, rotor speed should increase proportionally. The difference between aerodynamic torque captured by the blade and the applied generated torque controls the rotor speed. If the generator torque is lower, the rotor accelerates, and if the generator torque is higher, the rotor slows down. Below rated wind speed, the generator torque control is active, while the blade pitch is typically held at constant angle that captures the most power fairly flat to the wind. Above rated wind speed, the generator torque is typically held constant while the blade pitch is active. So one technique to control permanent magnet synchronous motor is field oriented control. In field oriented control is a closed loop strategy composed of two current controllers. One is inner loop, another one is outer loop cascade design necessary for controlling the torque, and one speed controller, constant torque angle control. Next one is yaw control. In modern large wind turbines are typically actively controlled to face the wind direction measured by wind van situated on the top of the nozzle. By minimizing the yaw angle, that is the misalignment between the wind and turbine pointing direction, the power output is maximized and non-symmetrical loads minimized. However, since the wind direction varies quickly, the turbine will not strictly follow the direction and will have small yaw angle on average. The power output losses can simply be approximated to fall with cos yaw angle cube. Particularly at low to medium wind speeds, yawing can be make a significant reduction in turbine output, with wind direction variations of plus or minus 30 degree being quite common, and long response times of wind turbines to change in wind direction. At high wind speeds, the wind direction is less variable. Next type of control is their electrical braking. Braking, it is required because if the very high wind speed happens on the site, it may damage the entire system. So that braking is required. So we have two different types of braking. One is electrical braking and another one is mechanical braking. So braking of a small wind turbine can be done by dumping of energy from generator into resistor bank, converting this kinetic energy of a turbine rotation into heat. This method is useful if the kinetic load on a generator is suddenly reduced or is too small to keep the wind speed within its allowed limit. Cyclically braking causes the blades to slow down, which increases the stalling effect, reducing the efficiency of a blades. This way, the turbine's rotation can be kept at a safe speed in faster winds while maintaining the power outputs. This method is usually not applied on large grid connected wind turbines because the heat created on the resistor bank will be very high, which ultimately damages the entire wind turbine. Next one is a mechanical braking. A mechanical drum brake or disc brake is used to stop the turbine in emergency situation such as extreme high events or overspeed. This brake is secondary means to hold the turbine at rest for maintenance, with a rotor lock system as primary means. Such brakes are usually applied only after blade furling, and electromagnetic braking have reduced the turbine speed, as mechanical brakes can create a fire inside the nozzle if used to stop the turbine from full speed. The load on the turbine increases if the brake is applied at rated speed. So the blade materials should have the following criteria. First one is wide availability and easy processing to reduce the cost and maintenance. Second, criteria is low weight or density to reduce gravitational forces. Third one is high strength and to withstand strong loading of wind and gravitational force of a blade itself. Next, fourth requirement is high fatigue resistance to withstand cyclic loading. Fifth one is high stiffness to ensure stability of optimal shape and orientation of blade and clearance with the tower. Next one is high fracture toughness because it is kept in an environment and it has to face all the environmental conditions so that it should have high fracture toughness. Last one is the ability to withstand environmental impacts such as lightning strokes, humidity, and temperature. These are all the requirements for selection of a blade materials. So this is one of the blade. This is fiberglass reinforced epoxy blades of Siemens SWT 2.32 101 wind turbines. The blade sizes of 49 meter. So the advantages of horizontal axis wind turbines are the efficiency is higher than that of vertical axis wind turbine and they are easy to mount high enough to avoid such much ground effect because the space required in a ground is very small. We can have as much as high long horizontal axis wind turbines. Next one is they are self-starting. They are less expensive. Their technology is better developed because the blade designs are very well developed to capture maximum wind energy. They are available commercially. The drawbacks of horizontal axis wind turbines are many of the important parts they require maintenance at the high of the ground because so the entire blades and entire nozzle is kept at the height so uh, frequent maintenance is required. If any problem occurs at that point it will entire system will get totally damaged and the yaw mechanism must be in place to turn the turbine into the wind. So this is wind energy conversion system. This is wind turbines. From that wind turbine, we are collecting the electrical energy, and it is given to the transformer. Through that transformer, the level shaped, and then it is given to the transmission line. So this is an internal structure of an wind energy conversion system. So this is a wind power plant. A wind power plant, we have nozzle. In that, we have a gearbox and generator. This is a long tower. In the down place of a long tower, we have a controller. There, the electrical energy is taken from the controller through transformer. Through the system protector devices, this is coupled to the grid and it is monitored in the monitoring centers, and we have a battery storage system also. So according to the place of site selection of an wind energy power plants, so first we have to know how good does the wind resource on the site is. We cannot keep it everywhere. If the struggles or if any buildings, long buildings, mountains are there, we cannot get a wind resource. So how good is the wind resource on the site? Next, how much does the electricity cost and is there any enough demand for the power? If the requirement is there, we can keep the wind turbines over there. And who has site control? It's a main problem. Who has a site control? Another one is, are there other potential barriers based or utility rules? And are there permitting, zoning, or other related barriers? So by considering these questions, we have to select the appropriate location for a wind energy. So next we will see the different types and the parts of horizontal axis wind turbines. So according to the horizontal axis wind turbines, we have two types. One is onshore, another one is offshore wind turbines. In onshore, it is it requires cheaper foundation, because in onshore wind turbines, we are going to erect the wind turbines on the land surface. According to the offshore wind turbines, we are going to erect the wind turbines on the sea surfaces. So onshore wind turbines, it requires cheaper foundation, easily integrated with the electrical grid network. It is cheaper in installation and access during construction phase, and it can be operated and maintained easily and cheaply because it is there in a land. So the maintenance is very easy and the operation is very easy. But in the case of offshore wind turbines, it is the roughness of a water surface is very low. So wind and obstacles to the wind are less. So the large turbines can be installed. Noise pollution does not a factor because they are too far from the so. But in the case of onshore wind turbines, we have a negative visual impact on noise and limited availability of lands and restrictions associated with obstructions like building mountains and noise pollution and affected by more turbulence. But in this case of offshore wind turbines, we don't, the noise pollution is not a factor because we are going to erect in the middle of the sea surface, so that noise pollution, it will not affect the human beings, and it is less affected to the turbulence in the wing and lower wind shear. But the problem is installing offshore wind turbines is much more complex and costly, and connection to the utility grid is also much more complex and expensive, and the operation and maintenance is also complex task with offshore wind turbines. These are all the comparison of two different types of horizontal axis wind turbines. So next we will see the different types of wind turbine towers. So first one is a tubular tower. Tubular tower, it is constructed from rolled steel plates welded together with the flanks, top and bottom being sprayed with several coats of gray weatherproof paint at the construction yard. They have doors at the top and bottom for allowing entrance to the vertical ladder. Inside the tower, we have a vertical ladder to go to the top. So vertical ladders inside used to access the power cables and the yaw mechanism. There are also a set of vertical ladders on outside the tower for accessing the nozzle for maintenance and other checks. This is tubular tower. Next type of a tower is a lattice tower. Lattice tower can be constructed with perfectly shaped steel rods that are put together to form a lattice. These towers are very strong and inexpensive to manufacture and too easy to transport and erect. Next one is a guide wire wind tower. They are very strong and most economical when properly installed, and it requires more space around the tower for that supporting wires. Next one is a up wind towers. These type of towers are used for consumer wind energy. These turbines having a locking system. So while working the turbine, it is locked and it can be unlocked when maintenance. So this is tilt type wind towers. Another one is a free stalling towers. These can be used for small wind turbines with the proper caution. So next we will see the blades. We have single blade horizontal axis wind turbine, two blade horizontal axis wind turbine, and three blade horizontal axis wind turbine. First one is in single blade, it reduces the cost and weight of a turbine because we have only one blade is there. These are rarely used due to tower shadow effects and needs counterweight on other side of the blade. One side is a long blade, another one side is a short supporting system only is there, so that the stability is very low. In the case of two blade horizontal axis wind turbine, it requires more complex design due to sustain of wind shocks. It is also less stable. It saves the cost and weight of one rotor blade. Next one is a three blade horizontal axis wind turbine. Modern wind turbines uses three blade concept because this structure have high strength to withstand heavy windstorm less effect due to tower shadow and produces high output. Next, we'll see the internal parts. Hub. Hub is a rotor hub. It is provided for coupling the wind turbine rotor blade and the shaft. The hub assembly consists of hub, bolts, blade bearings, pitch system, and internals. The rotor hubs are made up of welded sheet steel, cast iron, forged steel, and these type of hubs are hingeless hub and tethering hub. Next is an anemometer, which is in the back end of a nozzle. This anemometer and this one is a wind van. So the anemometer, the wind speed is the most important factor for determining the power content in the wind. The power content in the wind is directly proportional to Q the wind velocity. Measuring wind speed is important for site selection. The device which is used for measuring the wind speed is called anemometer. This is usually located on the top of the nozzle. So we have various types of anemometers. One is a rotational anemometer, pressure type anemometer, thermoelectric anemometer, phase shift anemometer. In rotational anemometer, this is cup anemometer, propeller anemometer. In pressure type anemometer, pressure tube, pressure plate, sphere anemometers. In thermoelectric anemometers, hot wire anemometer, hot plate anemometer. In the phase shift anemometer, we have further classifications like ultrasonic anemometer, laser Doppler anemometer. These are all the various types of anemometers. So next we will see the wind van. Wind vans are used to measure the wind direction and communicates with the yaw system to orient the wind turbine properly with respect to the wind direction to extract the maximum amount of power from wind. The wind turbines are oriented to upstream wind or downstream wind. So next we will see the yaw mechanism. Yaw mechanism turns the rotor into upwind direction as wind direction changes. The electric motors and gearboxes are used to keep the turbine yawed against wind. This can be also used as controlling mechanism during high wind speeds. So these are all the erected horizontal axis and vertical axis wind turbines. So next we will see the vertical axis wind turbine. A vertical axis wind turbine has blades mounted on the top of the main shaft structure, rather in front like an aircraft rotor. The generators are usually placed at the tower base, used less often than their horizontal counterparts. Vertical axis wind turbines are more practical in residential areas. So these are the two different configurations of vertical axis wind turbines. Although vertical axis wind turbines have existed for centuries, they are not common as their horizontal counterparts. The main reason for this is they do not have an advantage of higher wind speeds at higher elevators above the ground as well as horizontal axis wind turbines. So in 1980, the vertical axis wind turbines structures are like this. So we'll see the parts of a vertical axis wind turbine. We have two hubs. One is an upper hub and lower hub. With that hub, upper and lower hub, the blades are connected. And the central part of the vertical axis wind turbine is called shaft. And for supporting, there is an gauge wire is connected. And in the ground, we have gearbox and generators. In a horizontal axis wind turbine, the gearbox and generators are kept in a nozzle and it is kept on the tower. But in the case of vertical axis wind turbine, the gearbox and generators are kept in the tower base. The construction parts of a vertical axis wind turbines are guide wire, hub, rotor, blade, shaft, brake, gear, generator, and base. So guide wire, it is in vertical axis wind turbine normally needs a guide wire to keep the rotor shaft in a fixed position and maximized possible wind mechanical vibrations. Next is a hub. The hub is the center of the rotor to which the rotor blades are attached. Cast and cast steel is most oftenly used. In vertical axis wind turbine, there are two hubs, upper and lower, because the blades are attached at two ends. Next, we will see the rotor. Rotor is the heart of a wind turbine and it consists of multiple rotor blades attached to the hub. It is a turbine component responsible for collecting the energy present in the wind and transforming this energy into mechanical motion. As the overall diameter of the rotor design increases, the amount of energy that the rotor can extract from the wind increase as well. Therefore, the turbines are often designed around a certain diameter rotor and it is predicted energy that can be drawn from the wind. Next is the rotor blades. Rotor blades are crucial and basic part of a wind turbine. They are mainly made of aluminum, fiberglass, and carbon fiber because they provide better strength to weight ratio. The design of individual blades are also affects the overall design of the rotor. The rotor blades take the energy out of the wind. They capture the wind and convert its kinetic energy into the rotation of a hub. There are two types of blades. One is drag type blades, it is 7S wind turbine, and lift type blades. Another, it is a Darius wind turbines. So the shaft is a part that gets turned by the turbine blades. It is in turn is connected to the generator within the main housing. Next is the electrical braking. Braking is of a small wind turbines can also be done by dumping energy from the energy generator into a resistor banking by converting the kinetic energy of a wind turbine rotation into the heat. This method is useful if the wind kinetic load of a generator is less suddenly reduced or is too small to keep the turbine speed within its allowed limit. Cyclically braking causes the blades to slow down, which increases the stalling effect and reducing the efficiency of the blade. This way, the turbine rotation can be kept at a safe speed in faster winds while maintaining the power output. This method is usually not applied for large grid-connected wind turbines. So, as usual, mechanical braking is normally placed on the high-speed shaft between gearbox and the generator, but there are some turbines in which the brake is mounted on the low speed shaft between turbine and the gearbox. Mechanical drum brake or disc brake is used to stop the turbine in emergency situations such as extreme gust events or overspeed. This brake is also used to hold the turbine at rest for maintenance as secondary mean when the primary mean is being rotor locking system. Such brakes are usually applied on after blade furling or electromagnetic braking have reduced the turbine speed generally 1 to 2 rotor RPM. As a mechanical brakes can create a fire inside the nozzle if it is used to stop the turbine from full speed. Also, the load on the turbine increases if the brake is applied on the rated speed. This kind of mechanical brake are driven by hydraulic system and connected to the main control box. Next, we will see the gearbox. The main function of a gearbox is to take the low rotational speed from the shaft and to increase it to the higher rotational speed to the generator. So, two or more gear types may be combined in multiple stages. They are made up of aluminum alloys, stainless steel, and cast iron. Next is the main part, it is a generator. Conversion of rotational mechanical energy to electrical energy is performed by a generator. Different types of generators have been used in wind energy system over the year. For large commercial horizontal axis wind turbines, the generator is mounted in the nozzle at the top of the tower behind the hub of the turbine rotation. Typically, wind turbines generate electricity through asynchronous machines that are directly connected with the electrical grid. Usually, the rotational speed of the wind turbine is slower than the equivalent rotational speed of the electrical network. The typical rotational speeds for wind turbines are 5 to 20 RPM. While directly connected to the machine, we have electrical speed between 750 to 3600 RPM. Therefore, a gearbox is inserted between the rotor hub and the generator. This also reduces the generator cost and weight. So the base of a vertical axis wind turbine is usually the roof of building on which it is installed. These are all examples of a vertical axis machines. So vertical axis machines, we have different types. The most common types are Savanius and Darius type. Another one type is H rotor. So two common designs include the turbine that resembles two halves of a 55-gallon drum, each mounted to the rotating element, Savanius rotor, and smaller model that looks somewhat like egg beater. It is Darius type. First one is a Savanius type, another one is a Darius type. The Savanius model are more commonly used and let air in through a hub to turn a generator. The turbine spins via rotational momentum when air passes through the blades. The Savanius turbine is one of the simplest turbine. Aerodynamically, it is a drag type device consisting of 2 or 3 scoops. Looking down on the rotor from above, the 2 scoops looks like an S shape in cross section. Because of curvature, the scoops experience less drag when moving against the wing than when moving with the wing. The differential drag causes the Savanius turbine to spin. Because they are drag type devices, the Savanius turbine extract much less wind power than other similarly sized lift type wind turbines. Much of the swept area of a Savanius may be near the ground if it has small mount without the extended post, making the overall energy excitation less effective due to the lower wind speeds found at lower height. These are the Savanius type wind turbines. These wind blades are rotating based on the wind direction. These are various configurations, various designs of Savanius and Darius type wind turbines. So in Darius type wind turbines, it is a type of vertical axis wind turbine used to generate electricity from wind energy. The turbine consists of number of curved aerofoil blades mounted on the rotating shaft or framework. The curvature of the blade allows the blade to be stressed only in tension at higher rotational speeds. There are several closely related wind turbines that use straight blades. There are major difficulties in protecting the Darius type from extreme wind conditions and making it self-starting. The Darius and Savanius type wind turbines are most common vertical axis wind turbines. The Savanius wind turbines is an aerodynamically drag-based and self-starting turbine with low cut-in speed, but it is inefficiency curtails it to fewer applications, whereas Darius type wind turbines are aerodynamically lifting-based wind turbines having higher cut-in speed with higher coefficients of performance. Thus, it can rotate faster than the wind velocity. Combined rotors are combinations of Darius and Sibanius rotors mounted on the same shaft. This is a structure of combined Darius and Sibanius type rotors in a same shaft. This is one another example of combined structure. So next we will see the advantages of vertical axis wind turbines. First one is the generator and gearbox can be placed on the ground. But in the case of horizontal axis wind turbines, generator and gearboxes are placed in the nozzle and the nozzle is kept on the tower. Here the structure is usually simpler and you don't need to have a yaw mechanism to turn the rotor against the wind. These are easier to build and little detailed knowledge of aerodynamics is needed for a simple designs. But the drawbacks are these structures are low to ground where wind speed are lowest. But in the case of horizontal axis wind turbine, we can have a tower at any height so that we can able to capture any speed. But here the vertical axis wind turbine structure is very low to ground so that the wind speeds are very low. And the overall efficiency is much lower than the horizontal axis wind turbine, and most vertical axis wind turbines are not self-starting. Many vertical axis machines require guide wire, which greatly increase the structural footprint. The maintenance is usually more difficult. For example, the replacement of generator typically requires disassembly of entire machine. So this is different lift and drag types of horizontal and vertical axis wind turbines. So next we will see the comparison chart of a horizontal and vertical axis wind turbines. First one is the rotating axis of a blades are parallel to direction of winds. But in the case of vertical axis wind turbines, the rotation axis of blades are perpendicular to the direction of wind. The main rotor shaft runs horizontally, but in this case, the main rotor runs vertically. In horizontal axis wind turbines are generally used under streamline wind condition where a constant stream and direction of wind is available. The vertical axis wind turbines are mainly beneficial in areas with turbulent wind flow such as rooftops, coastlines, cityscapes, etc. The rotor faces the wind stream to capture maximum wind energy. Here, the rotor can accept wind stream from any direction. Next, the inspection and maintenance is difficult in horizontal axis wind turbine, but in this case of vertical axis wind turbine, inspection and maintenance is easy. The horizontal axis wind turbine extract more power from wind, whereas vertical axis wind turbines extract less power from speed. Next, they are more efficient. Here it is less efficient. They operate fine in moderate wind speeds. They can operate even in low wind speeds. So the major factors for the development of wind power are availability of high strength fiber composites, falling prices of power electronics because we need a power electronic controllers for making a connection of generated wind energy conversion system electricity into the grid. Next is a variable speed operation of electrical generators to capture maximum energy, improved power plant operation, pushing the availability up to 95%, economy of scale as turbines and plants are getting larger in size, accumulated field experience improving the capacity factor, short energy payback or energy recovery period of about 1 year. Next, we'll see the factors affecting the distribution of speed of wind on earth. First one is a pressure gradient, second one is a rotation of earth, and third one is a friction. So pressure gradient, rotation of a earth, and friction of earth. These three are the factors affecting the distribution of speed of wind on earth. Next, we will see the typical wind turbine operation. So we have different speeds. When it is 0 to 10 miles per hour, the wind speed is too low for generating power. the turbine is not operational, the rotor is locked with this speed. So when we are going for an 10 to 25 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour is a minimum operational speed. It is also called as a cut-in speed. And 10 to 25 miles per hour wind, the generated power increases with the wind speed. And 25 to 50, the typical wind turbines reach the rated speed at the wind speed of 25 miles per hour. This is called an rated wind speed. Further increase of wind speed will not result in sustainability higher generated power by design. This is accomplished by, for example, pitching the blade angle to reduce a turbine efficiency. When it is higher than the 50 miles per hour, the turbine is shuts down. When wind speed higher than the 50 miles per hour, called cutout speed, to prevent the structure failure. So these are all four different types of wind speed operations. So the theoretical power generated by wind turbine it is given by a formula 1 by 2 rho A V cube. Here rho is an density of air and A is a swept area. So swept area means the area covered by rotor blades when it is rotating, and V is a wind velocity. So with this formula, we can calculate the theoretical power generated by wind turbine. So normally on at 2000 feet elevation, the rho value density of air is 1.16 kilogram per meter cube. At 5000 feet elevation, the density of air is 1 kilogram per meter cube. And at 85 feet elevation, it is 1.203 kilograms per meter cube. The average wind velocity is 5 miles per hour at 50-meter tower height. So the rho equal to 1.16 kilogram per meter square at 1010 feet elevation. The average wind speed of 7 meter per second and 50 meter long tower height is normally preferred. Next, we will see the one problem, power generated by H wind turbine. How many power a wind turbine with 50-meter long blade can generate with a wind speed of 12 meter per second? The site of an installation is about 1000 feet above the sea level. Assume 40% of efficiency. We know that power is equal to 1 by 2 rho AV cube, and it is efficiency is given so that it is multiplied. So while substituting the values, the answer of power generator is 3.15 megawatts. Next, we will see the Berth's limit. It is a flow of air over the blade and through the rotor area that makes a wind turbine function. The wind turbine extracts energy by slowing the wind down. The theoretical maximum amount of energy in that that can be collected by wind turbine rotor is approximately 59.3. This is a value. This value is known as an Berth's limit. If the wind blades were 100% efficient, the wind turbine would not work because their having given up all its energy would entirely stop. In practice, the collection efficiency of a rotor is not as high as 59. More theoretical efficiency is 35 to 45 only. A complete wind energy system, including rotor, transmission, generation, storage, and other devices, which all have less than perfect efficiencies, will deliver them between 10 to 30% of original energy available in the wind. Next, we will see the electrical load matching or connecting wind power stations to the grid. So, we have three different configurations. One is directly connected to the ground grid without power electronic converters. Second one is connected via full-scale power electronic converters. Third one is connected via partially rated power electronic converters. First, this is wind turbines with SC, IG. This is a diagram. So from that generator, with the help of a reactive compensator, we can directly connect the wind electrical energy into the grid. So wind turbines with the generator to the grid, we have three different configurations. One is wound rotor induction generator and doubly fed induction generator and brushless doubly fed induction generator. With that generated electricity, with the help of required compensators, we can connect directly to the grid. So we have three modes of wind power generation. One is a standalone mode. Another one is a backup mode like wind diesel. It is a hybrid mode. Third one is a grid connected mode. In the standalone mode, it is a isolated places or locations where the grid is unavailable. And one of the main commercial application of a standalone wind turbines are for water pumping, domestic use at remote communities, farm and ranch, and a windmill for grinding. So this is standalone power generation block diagram. So this is from horizontal axis wind turbine. The wind energy is collected and it is given to the gearbox. There, the low speed is converted into the high speed with the help of a synchronous generator. We have converts mechanical energy into electrical energy and it is given to the required power electronic devices and it is connected to the DC bus directly. In the backup mode, the cost of electricity can be reduced by integrating diesel system with wind power generation. This system has another advantage of reduction of size of diesel energy and battery storage system, which can save fuel and reduce pollution also. Such system is having a parallel operation of diesel with one or more renewable energy based systems. That renewable energy may be wind, photovoltaic, micro, hydro, and biomass to meet the energy demand of an isolated area are called hybrid power systems. So this is the hybrid power systems. So wind energy and diesel generator sets, these two are combined and it is given to the grid with the help of an power supports and storage systems. Next is a grid connected wind turbines. So normally wind turbine generators generate electrical power at 400 volts. It is stepped to higher levels. So this is grid connected wind turbine generators. That electrical generated energy may be used for local loads like colony markets and industries, or otherwise it is stepped up into 11 kV and with the grid substation it is connected to the grid. So according to the wind energy conversion system, if we see the safety and environmental aspects, it is an indirect energy use and emission. So next one is bird life. There is no security over there because the long blades are rotating always. If the bird go closely with that blades, there may be possibility of death of an birds, and continuously it is producing a noise and visual impact. It is very poor and it creates telecommunication interferences, and safety is a question mark because the periodic and continuous maintenance is required for both of the horizontal axis and wind axis, vertical axis wind turbines. So thank you. Up to this, we have covered introduction about the wind energy and types of wind energy conversion systems and comparison and electrical connection with the grid and everything. Thank you so much.